So, my dad has lost some weight. Hip hip hooray. And I say that kind of sarcastically because the point is not weight loss. That's the Enlightenment. The point is not weight loss. If you want to lose weight, don't focus on weight loss. It's a backwards paradigm. Zen Master Dogen said you got to take the backwards step. This means you got to flip the script, and you have to realize that the means equal the end. So if you're torturing yourself to lose weight, the weight is not going to stay off. It's going to be temporary, because torture does not lead to sustainable means and ends. It does not lead to you keeping the weight off. So my dad, I'm hoping, and got my fingers crossed, that the weight will keep off, the weight will stay off, and I'm hopeful that it will, because he's not focusing on weight loss. So today I'm going to be covering the 3 things that he is focusing on, and hopefully kind of share with you some tips and insights. So the 3 things, and my dad retired. Okay, so that makes things easier. I just want to get that out of there. I get it. He has more time. But if you think about it, this also proves the point that weight loss, and just not even weight loss, just being regular with food and enjoying your body and having a normal relationship with food, it's really not about controlling what you eat and focusing on weight loss. It's much more about the big picture. It's much more about holistic health. And here are a few examples of how my dad has not even really tried to focus on weight, but has lost weight. He's taken the backward step. He's focusing on himself, being happy, feeling good, and magically almost, the weight has come off. So that's the paradigm. The 3 tips are: 1, he's retired, so he's got way less stress. 2, he's no longer going out, hanging out with his coworkers in the boardroom or in the snack room, and he's no longer going out to lunch with some of his coworkers who are inclined to get like fast food. And then thirdly, our grandma is no longer living with us. So I don't live with my parents, but I should say my grandma is no longer living with my parents. She moved back home for a little bit. And my grandma would always make cookies, oatmeal cookies, and her breakfast is 3 oatmeal cookies, which I'm not promoting, but her breakfast is 3 oatmeal cookies. And so she's always making oatmeal cookies. Even when I've gone home over the holidays, there's like a big basket of oatmeal cookies, and I like them. I go home and I'm like, oh yeah, great. I'm going home. I can have some cookies. Great. They're really good, really thick and chewy. But my dad, all these oatmeal cookies are always staring at him. And so the 3rd tip is your environment. If you got visual reminders, if you got food strewn about your kitchen or pantry in your room, the temptation is just going to be for you to have it. So we have clean up your environment, watch your relationships, especially your work relationships, because work relationships, you'll have an easier time changing your work relationships or changing your work relationship patterns. Family, they say family is family. You're stuck with your family. But work, you can get a little bit of leeway. And then lastly, decrease your stress. So notice how I'm not even talking about weight loss. I'm not. I'm talking about things that are practical, that are achievable, that are aimed at making you feel good, aimed at cleaning up your mind. And as a result of just upgrading your lifestyle and your habits, the weight comes off. People try to cheat. They don't try to cheat. That's too strong of a word. That's too strong of a word. People get seduced. They get tricked. They get hoodwinked by these weight loss marketers saying, do this, blah, 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 blah. You're going to lose weight. This is the secret. This way is different. But as long as the intention, as long as the program's goal is like a magnifying glass, just zoomed in on weight loss, and 6 weeks later, and you know how do you know how you know it's zoomed in on weight loss? If success is measured by weight loss, 6 weeks later you'll have lost X amount of pounds, 30 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever. As long as you're measuring success in terms of weight loss, that's probably not going to work. Okay? And I know this can be a little bit frightening, or a little bit like, it might bring up feelings of hopelessness. For some people, they told me that. Like, Jared, if I don't focus on losing weight, how am I going to be happy? How am I going to lose the weight? You know, that's their question. If I don't manage my weight, I'm going to balloon up to like 1,000 pounds. And so if we're really going to approach this, and maybe even take some wisdom from my dad, maybe, I think we need to get in a calm space and just face the truth. That when you focus on weight loss, sure, you can lose weight, but does it stay off? And it doesn't. And so maybe we need to flip the script and really, 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 really take a stand on our work relationships. At work. Your coworkers, they're not going to care if you don't go to the snack room. They're not. They're not going to care. You don't have to go to the snack room where there's donuts. I need you to take care of yourself by either bringing some food with you to work. I need you to do this. And bringing some food with you to work, or even just not hanging out with your coworkers. You don't have to go out to lunch with your coworkers. You can do something else. It's okay. Work relationships, they're not going to care if you're not having lunch with them. So take a stand at work. Be careful with who you grab lunch with and those innocuous little snack breaks, because they add up over time. Now, that was the second tip that my dad has kind of, he's fortunate. Again, as I said earlier, he's retired now. And so he's not hanging out with his colleagues at work. So it just kind of happens that way. But again, I don't want you to use I don't want you to use the fact that you're not retired as an excuse, because ultimately this is about feeling good. And you can feel good at work even by not hanging out with your colleagues. You can eat at your desk and get work done and leave home early, skip traffic, and have a nice evening for yourself. And the second tip is huge. The first tip is less stress. I mean, this is the glue that's holding this whole thing together. Daddy's lost 10 pounds now? About 6 months, not a bad pace. And it's shedding off. He's not even trying. It's just happening. And a lot of this, most of this is because there's just less stress. And so when you're under a lot of stress, you snack to alleviate the stress. You're stressed out, why not have a bite to eat? The temptation is there, especially if you can see it, if it's within arm reach, if you can just walk across the room and grab a bite. Our brains, this is human nature. This is not something to take personally. Please, please, please do not take this personally. Do not take this personally. You do not lack willpower. Humans lack willpower, okay? Humans. I lack willpower. Look at behind me. You see any, if you're listening to the podcast, That's great. There's nothing behind me. There's no snacks out there. There's nothing tempting me with my eyes where I just see it and all of a sudden it's in my mouth. So watch the temptation, but the temptation is going to be multiplied by the stress. So if you got no stress, the temptation goes down dramatically. Stress makes everything worse. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you need to have a perfectly peaceful life. I'm not saying that. But just reflect and really think about how often the real reason you're eating is because of stress. You're not even hungry. You're not even tuned into your body. And so finding ways to decrease stress, to really prioritize it, is one of the key things that my dad is doing, that it's just happening to him, and he's really feeling a lot better because of it. So I want you to let me know, what tips of these do you find useful, and how are you going to make yourself feel better instead of focusing on weight loss? Thanks for your time. Peace.